Hello, hello, my friends. It is time for my early May candle chat. Yes, I'm wearing the same clothing that I wore in my Kringle haul yesterday because I just got a batch film. It's the way that it works around here. I have to take advantage. My kids are actually in their last week of school, my younger two at least. So while they are at school, I'm like, I've got to squeeze in some of this filming. So this is a series that I like to do typically twice a month on my channel where I sit down, I share with you what is currently in my burn rotation, share with you some post-burn thoughts, and then at the end of this video, I also have a tiny Homeworx haul to share with you guys. They were kind enough to send me some PR. So I will be sharing with you guys what candles those are and some actually I burned all three of them actually one time already. So I'll give you just like a quick initial post burn thought on those candles. So if you like this video, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new and you like candle content. Grab a snack, grab a drink, settle in, because we are just going to talk about candles today. So let's go ahead and start out with, actually before I start out, I do always like to mention too, that I put in the description box, I list all of the, goodness, take a moment, too much filming. I do always list all of the products that I'm talking about in the description box down below with any affiliate discount codes, and I also put timestamps there. There, we got it out. Okay, now we can go ahead and talk about the candles. So I am actually going to start out with a Kringle candle here. This is the fragrance Gardenia. Now we are still kind of in prime floral season. I will admit that my heart has kind of moved on from florals. This Gardenia to me is typically like a late spring, early summer floral. My mother loved Gardenia fragrances. If there were two florals that she loved, it was lilac and Gardenia. And Gardenia, I tend to like to burn Kringle candles Gardenia with some like coconut type of fragrances. So the fragrance notes on Gardenia are gardenia, white floral, jasmine, green, musk, and sweet. And the reason why I like this Gardenia, yes, it is a heady white floral. However, I do get some jasmine in this fragrance, and my relatives in Southern California, a lot of them do grow jasmine at their home. My sister has some in her backyard. My grandpa had some at his place. So it's a little bit of a nostalgic fragrance for me. And again, my mother loved Gardenia. So I think both of those play into each other. But I really love pairing this fragrance with, like I said, a coconut fragrance. You will see in my empties video next week that I have already finished burning Homeworx's Warm Vanilla Coconut, which I feel like that I mentioned in that review. That is a highly underrated fragrance. It is flying under the radar. If you loved Harry's postcards from Harry collection in the summer of 2024, do not pass up that Warm Vanilla Coconut. It's beautiful. So I was burning this one in the evenings with the Warm Vanilla Coconut. Strength and Throw on Gardenia is pretty decent for me as well. I would say that this would probably be almost too strong for me in this 3-wick format in my bedroom, but out here in the open concept, it's perfect. Strength of about a 7, throw was about an 8. It's just perfect for me out here. The other fragrance that I see myself currently wanting to burn this with is Kringle Candles Sea Breeze. I feel like it's a great combination. Again, that kind of like coconut with Gardenia. So this is one of the fragrances that has come into the old burn rotation recently. Let's talk about a Caramel Sundays fragrance that I don't know if this one will return this summer or if it will ever return, but this is the fragrance Positano. Now, I actually don't have the fragrance notes for this. I should have pulled it out. I try to keep track. I actually print out my little wish list every month when I do my Caramel Sundays wish list, and then I have the fragrance notes, but I have my paper over there. I'll make sure, if you want to know the exact fragrance notes, you can on this, but this is kind of like a sandalwood and vanilla type of fragrance. Now, I will say this one's a little bit powdery to my nose. It's not my favorite. It wouldn't be a repurchase for me. However, I do like burning this candle in the evenings with the dark salt and coconut fragrance that I got from Caramel Sundays. I think the two of them combined are really great. My friend here on YouTube and Instagram, Amy, I think was the one who suggested that. I think she's really been loving that combo. But yeah, this is This is nice. It, like I said, it's sandalwood and vanilla. My sister actually got this candle as well. I ended up sending it to her as a little bit of a gift, and she is one of those people. If you have people like this in your life, she actually, I wouldn't say that she's a fragrance phobe, but she kind of is. She's a little bit crunchy, and I'm not like tattling on her. She would tell you this herself. She is very concerned about toxins and phthalates and parabens, like all that kind of stuff, and she is very sensitive to fragrance as well. But this fragrance, she has actually been enjoying it, and she says that it doesn't cause her any headaches or any issues. She kind of calls it her Golden Girls candle. She's like, I don't know, there's something about this that like I always think like the Golden Girls house would have smelled like this or whatnot. Not saying that it's an old lady fragrance, but it is a little bit powdery, perfumey, but also like sandalwood and vanilla. Now, I will say strength and throw on this one. I have been primarily burning this only in the bedrooms. My daughter actually really, really loves this fragrance, so I've been burning it in her room, but it does throw out of the bedroom when I've been burning it. So I'm going to say it's probably about a 7 in terms of strength and throw in this little 2-wick format. But again, I don't know if it's going to be coming back. But yeah, that is another fragrance. You guys know me. I'm always playing candle Tetris here when I've got, you know, all of these candles here in front of me. Another Kringle candle that I have been burning from their like 3-wick lineup is the fragrance Vacay. Now, Vacay has fragrance notes of pineapple, sweet apple, floral, and coconut. And this is part of those candles that were released, I want to say it was about a month ago now when they released their most recent reserve launch. There were 19 candles like in this little collection. They're calling it like the labeled 3-wick. I'm going to tell you, they're 3 for 33, which I feel like is a great, I feel like it's a great entry point for people maybe who are wanting to start dipping their toe in 100% soy wax. Maybe they're used to other wax formulas and they're wanting to try Kringle, but they don't necessarily want to commit to like the larger jars. Maybe they're used to 3-wicks. They like 3-wicks because they fit some of their accessories. So I feel like it's a pretty accessible price point. Like I said, 3 for 33, $11 each. Now, here's the thing with Vacay. The fragrance on this, I feel like if you like the fragrance Fiji, it's not the same scent, but I feel like if you like kind of those almost floral tropicals, this one, you would like this fragrance. My nose definitely picks up, it picks up on a floral in here, and it says floral. There's a little bit of coconut, yes. There's a sweetness of fruit, maybe like an apple in here. Pineapple, I don't get like bam in your face pineapple, but I get a little bit of it. But this is a definitely like a tropical floral type of fragrance to my nose. Yeah, I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's hibiscus in here. It's not hibiscus. Um, but it's like floral fruity type of fragrance, tropical floral fruity. That's what my nose is detecting here. Now, this fragrance has kind of had its ups and downs with me in terms of strength and throw. I would say overall strength and throw on this candle is probably about a 6. This fragrance does get lost out here in the open concept for me, but it performs well in my closed concept master bedroom. If I put it in there, I smell it quite well, but out here in the open concept it does get a little bit lost. So I would say that this fragrance would be best suited to a closed concept. But again, for an $11 price point, that's really not too bad. Again, the packaging isn't anything really to write home about, but I don't think that that's what they were going for. I think that this was just more so a product line that is great for people who are wanting to kind of dip their toe into the Kringle brand. While I am sitting here, because I will always forget if I don't start out, if I don't include these in, right at the beginning, I'll forget to share with you guys what I am currently burning. So I'm actually burning it over here today. I am burning, what is that? Sublime Vanilla from Caramel Sundays. Now it is in the 4-wick vessel. Here's the thing with Sublime Vanilla. The fragrance notes I did bring over here. Sublime Vanilla fragrance notes are top notes of green lime and orange, mid notes of warm vanilla and sugar, base note of tonka, coconut, and pepper. Now, you guys know I was really hoping that this would be a soy wax version of Yankee Candle's Vanilla Lime because I love vanilla lime, but unfortunately, so far, Yankee has only released that or I've only been able to access it in the 1-wick paraffin classic jar formula. Somebody did tell me that at one point they did release it in their signature lineup, but I haven't seen that come back. I would love for them to do that again. But what I would really love is for either Kringle or caramel sundaes to come up with one that would be that fragrance in their soy wax, because I prefer the soy wax formula. Now, here's the thing. It is not the same fragrance. It is a lime forward fragrance. It is not as limey and zesty as the new fresh bergamot from the country candle lineup. It's definitely like a vanilla lime, but a note that I smell in there is actually an orange note. It is listed as the second note in the top notes. And while it is not an orange candle, it is definitely still a dominant lime forward candle. I get a little bit of the orange note, and it's almost like an orange creamsicle type of note. There's orange and vanilla in there. It kind of reminds me of the orange fragrance that I get from Homeworx's Valencia Orange, or their orange creamsicle candle. It's a creamy orange. I do actually really, really like it. It has base notes, like I said, tonka, coconut pepper, maybe a little bit of that in there. But it's definitely like a gourmand lime fragrance without it being cake or anything. It's almost maybe like in line with like a lime sherbet type of fragrance. That's kind of what it reminds me of, or maybe like, yeah, like a lime sherbet. I guess if they made that flavor, that's what it reminds me of. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say about this 4-wick. I do find that this fragrance, for whatever reason, takes a while to start throwing in my house. It actually has to get like a completely pulled out deeper wax pool for it to start throwing. So I will tell you guys that this 4-wick, for whatever reason, does not start throwing in my open concept until I've been burning it for probably about an hour and a half. I don't know why. I don't have that quirk with all of my caramel sundaes candles, but some of them I do. I am almost to the halfway burn point on it. And again, I did just light this candle maybe 30 minutes ago. And I'm not really smelling it a whole lot yet, but I know that I will be. Within the next like 45 minutes, I will definitely be smelling it a little bit more. I do plan to upload a post-burn review on that fragrance within the next week and a half, I would say. I do want to get a review out for that prior to the May restock, which has been moved. If you haven't caught some of my more recent caramel sundaes videos, the May restock was initially supposed to be, I believe, May 18th. It did get moved to May 25th. Sierra, the co-owner of caramel sundaes, she has been having some wrist issues, and so they've kind of had to re-pour some of their candles. They hand pour their candles. They've had to take a little bit more time to do that due to her wrist issues. So anyways, the May restock did get pushed to May 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Did want to put that out there, but I will, of course, have my caramel sundaes wish list video, and I will make sure to get post-burn reviews up for you guys of the candles that will be available in the May restock, so that way you can make a decision about whether or not you want to put those on your wish list. The other fragrance that I am burning at the moment is also a caramel sundaes fragrance, and that is the fragrance Pink Salt. Now, Pink Salt has fragrance notes, top notes of salted melon, Tahitian vanilla, and coconut. Mid notes, lily of the valley, warm berries, base note of orange, tangerines, and sugar. Now, that candle I have in a 2-wick format, and it is currently burning in my master bedroom. Okay, I smelled that candle and I was like, this reminds me of something, and I don't know exactly what it's reminding me of. Not a dupe, but you know what it reminds me of? If you happen to like coconut pina colada from Bath and Body Works, but if you're like me, that fragrance, when I was burning it, I got a weird plasticky artificial thing going on with it, and I was like, I don't like this. That's what this fragrance, the caramel sundaes Pink Salt is what I wanted coconut pina colada to be. It definitely has a coconut note going on there. Pineapple is not listed anywhere in the fragrance notes, but there is something that gives off a little bit of a pineapple vibe. Now, I will say that I smell that more on cold. When the candle is lit, the kind of like creamy coconut aspect comes forward a little bit more. I do get some of that like sweetness of citrus and berries in there. But again, to me, every time I walk in my room and smell this, it smells more and more like coconut pina colada to me from Bath and Body Works. Could be just my nose, but if you're somebody who has that fragrance in your collection, if you got the Pink Salt and if you also have coconut pina colada, let me know. Do you think that I'm out to lunch on that, or you guys can let me know in the comment section. Now, again, this will be a one that I do a post-burn review on. I will tell you, in the 2-wick format right now, it is getting lost out here in the open concept, but it does perform very well in the closed concept bedroom. I don't need a hurricane on it in the bedroom when I walk in there. Again, there's 9-foot high ceilings there. Out here in the living room, I have vaulted ceilings that have a peak right above me of 20 feet high. So much different, much different room and space to fill up out here than the bedroom. But the bedroom, it performs very well, and I can actually smell it coming out of the bedroom. So I think that the 2-wick of pink salt performs a little bit better in a lower ceiling height type of room. But it gets a little bit lost out here in the open concept, even when I've had it in a hurricane out here. So that is a fragrance that is going to be offered in a 4-wick for the May restock. I like the fragrance enough that I'm contemplating putting it on my list, but we shall see. So those are the 2 fragrances that I am burning at the moment. Let's go ahead and talk about a Bath & Body Works candle that I was burning this week. And the reason why I started burning it is because I want to see if this year's version of it burns well enough that I need to get backups. It is one of my holy grail fragrances from Bath & Body Works. It is the fragrance Hummingbird Tea Cake. We have fragrance notes of pineapple cake batter, cinnamon spice, toasted pecans. I have always said that the cake note in here, the spice cake note, is very similar to the spice cake note that I get in their iced carrot cake. Different fragrances, but there's kind of like a pineapple banana type of thing going on with this. It's kind of like a tropical, what I would say like a summertime fruity, not super fruity, like a summertime gourmand. There's a little bit of spice to it, but it's not a heavy, dense fall gourmand. Whereas I feel like iced carrot cake is more so a fragrance that I would burn in the fall. This is a fragrance that I like to burn on some summer mornings. Now, we did have some rainy weather earlier this week, and so I was burning this with another fragrance that I will show you guys in just a moment, but I love, love, love this scent. You guys know I have had some up and down performance issues with Bath & Body Works, so I thought, you know what, with SAS coming up within probably about a month, I should probably figure out, is this one burning well for me? Because if it is, I'm going to want some backups of it. But I like the packaging on this one. So far, the burn on this was very good. The other day, I didn't have any issues, but again, it was my first burn on it. I usually, well, we'll talk about another candle. Normally, I don't have issues with the first burn on Bath & Body Works candle. But this one was so good. It's a good performer for me, usually about an 8 in terms of strength and throw. So I did start burning this one this week. And the fragrance that I loved burning it with, and I touched on this fragrance a little bit in the Kringle video yesterday. This is Sugared Diamonds. Now, Sugared Diamonds has fragrance notes of strawberry, red berry, baked pastry, banana, oats, cinnamon, clove, vanilla, cooked sugar, which are the fragrance notes that are the exact same as their 2-wick Fruit and Flakes. Fruit and Flakes has been discontinued, and Kringle, why? Why? That fragrance is so good, and so many people love that fragrance. I don't know, maybe it just didn't sell well, but it's a strong performer. I love this scent. Now, Fruit and Flakes isn't necessarily like, it doesn't, maybe it reminds me a little bit of like cornflakes, but this is just, it's so warm. There's like a warmth to this candle. I don't get any kind of lactonic, milky, nothing like that. But there is a warmth to this candle that you get a little bit of that banana in here. Kind of like an oats type of thing going on. I love this fragrance. And in fact, I mentioned in my Kringle video yesterday that I almost placed another order. They had the 2-wicks. They only had the 2-wicks in this fragrance available. I think there's some wax melts still available in it, but they had the 2-wicks marked down to $13.50, and they were also part of the BOGO. And I was like, oh, I should get that. And then of course I dilly-dallied and didn't, and now it's sold out. But this is a wonderful fragrance. I love pairing this with Hummingbird Tea Cake because, again, that Hummingbird Tea Cake kind of has a spice note to it. They just complement each other really well. So this was an 8 in terms of strength and throw, but I love, love burning this on days or mornings where we have some cloud cover. It gives me like warm vibes, but also not like winter fall warm vibes. It's definitely more like gloomy, like I grew up in Southern California, so those of you who live there, you know the term June gloom. Like it's like those like June gloom mornings type of vibes. And I really love this fragrance. Kringle, please please bring this fragrance back. It's incredible. I love it. It's one of my favorite ones. It's another one that I thought like, oh, how did I miss this one on my favorites list? Because it's one that I definitely want more of, and I'm pretty sad that I can't get more of it. Let's talk about a fragrance, another fragrance from Kringle. It is from their Reserve line. This is the fragrance Orange. Now, a lot of people I have seen in the Kringle Facebook group, sometimes some people are asking for recommendations for a good orange fragrance. And I always tell people this is my #1 orange fragrance that Kringle offers. Fragrance notes on this are orange, mandarin, green, lemon, lemongrass, red fruits, jasmine, tamarind, and musk and amber. Now, I tell people all the time, this actually, to me, this smells like orange juice. That's what it smells like a fresh glass of orange juice. But a good old orange juice fragrance is actually quite versatile when you have a lot of other citrus fragrances. I have been burning this with the Sublime Vanilla candle. I think it's a great complementary scent to that one. There have been some other fragrances that I've been burning this with. I've also been burning it with the Fresh Bergamot, Citrus and Citrus. I just love this scent so much. It goes really nicely with the new Lemon Splash candle in the Reserve lineup. It's a beautiful fragrance. So I thought, well, yeah, I decided to go ahead and bring this one out again. I would say strength and throw on this one is about a 7 for me. It's not like a smack you in the face, but it is definitely noticeable and detectable. So I brought this fragrance out again this week. Let me see here. I'm looking at all of the fragrances that I have been burning. Let's talk about a Bath & Body Works candle that I did just do a dedicated post-burn review on Friday. I put this up. This is the fragrance Sugar Cone Crunch. Now we have fragrance notes here of freshly baked sugar cone, caramel sea salt, and gooey marshmallow. And I had said in my dedicated post-burn review of this candle, I like the fragrance on this. The note that I pick up a lot in here is very, very similar to a pumpkin s'mores candle, oddly enough. Now, it's not pumpkin s'mores, but the note that I'm smelling in here is almost like a graham cracker note. I think it's the same graham cracker note that they were using in pumpkin s'mores. There's no chocolate, no pumpkin in this, but the graham cracker note is very similar. And I feel like they took that graham cracker note, they mixed in a little bit of like the vanilla bean note, that marshmallow note that they put in here. And I like this fragrance. I do get a little bit of caramel in this candle when it is burning. Not so much that it smells scorched to my nose. I did touch on that in the review. Caramel scents are very hit or miss for me because they can come across a little bit scorched. But here's the thing with this one. It's light. It's very, very light. I do have to use a hurricane to get any kind of strength and throw on it. This fragrance does unfortunately get lost out here in the open concept. Every once in a while, I would get a little waft of it, but for the most part, I can't really detect it out here in the open concept. Now, when I do burn it in the bedrooms, even with a hurricane, I'm going to say like maximum performance on it is maybe a 5. I was burning it in my daughter's bedroom this morning, which is a smaller bedroom, and it was in a hurricane and I could definitely detect it in there. It was noticeable when you walked in. But even in the master bedroom, which is a little bit larger room, when I burn it in a hurricane, it's not as strong in the master. And then when I put it out here, it's not, which is really unfortunate because the fragrance itself is nice. It's a good blending candle. I feel like it would go really nicely with some of these like sorbet type of scents. A couple of other people here on YouTube have said that they believe that this might be a repackage, I think, of Boardwalk Cone, or it has some aspects of Berry Waffle Cone, which I've heard that Berry Waffle Cone so far is not showing as returning. So there are some people who are concerned about that. But also, the other thing I wanted to say was that this candle did not pull out for me completely on the first burn, even after 3 hours of burn time. And there was still like, I would say like it only got to like this. I'm trying to look here. Like it only pulled out, where are we at? To like, there was still a pretty like decent chunk of like wax that hadn't pulled out on the first one. So I have to put this candle in a hurricane in order to get it to completely pull out. If I don't put it in a hurricane, it won't pull out for me. So that's a little bit of a shame. So far though, I will say that the wicks are not puny. They're not, doing that super slow burn, which then you get like the sooty wax. So we shall see with this one, but unfortunately, this is not going to be a repurchase for me just because I wanted more from the Strength and Throw. I will hold on to it. I can always crock it at some point because it is a pretty versatile fragrance in my collection, but those are my thoughts on that candle in case you happen to have missed the post-burn review on it. Another Caramel Sundays candle that I wanted to talk about, again, I don't know if this one will be returning at all this summer. This is the fragrance Blueberry Lemon Crumble. And it's funny, this is one of the ones that I was on the fence about purchasing in the April restock. Sierra DM'd me over on Instagram and was like, you're going to want that one. Trust me, you're going to want it. She was correct. Fragrance notes on the Blueberry Lemon Crumble are top notes of lemon crumble cake, mid notes of blueberry, milk, and butter, and a base note of vanilla. Now, here's the thing, you guys. You listen to all those fragrance notes. This reminds me of Trix cereal. I don't know why, but it does, and it is so good. I've had actually very good performance out of this candle. I had it lit over here on my little, quilt rack against the wall. And this candle performs beautifully for me. I would say average performance on it. The first burn on this was almost like a 9 in terms of strength and throw. I will tell you that it's kind of died down a little bit to more of like, I would say between like a 7.5, 8, which is still my sweet spot. It's still definitely detectable. I really, really like this fragrance. It's quickly found its way into like being one of my favorite fragrances because it's unique. I haven't smelled a fragrance like this in any other brand before. I like the burn on it. Again, performance has been pretty good for me, and that is without the use of a hurricane on this candle. So Blueberry Lemon Crumble is another one that I have really been enjoying. And then the last candle I wanted to touch on really quickly, I need to burn it a little bit more. This is the fragrance Life's a Beach from, again, that 3-wick lineup from Kringle. We have fragrance notes of tonka bean, amber, jasmine, and sandalwood. Now, I do have 2 other candles from Country Candle that I like that are kind of in this. This is what I would call, they are the kind of like quote unquote sunscreen type of fragrances. If you like Sand and Santal, which I've been burning, or not burning, but like I am bringing it into my rotation. If you like Sunset Sands, if you happen to like that new Sunlit Glow from Bath and Body Works, they're all kind of in that like beachy sunscreen type of family. And this one falls into that, right? So I burned this candle the other day thinking like, oh, I'm going to love this. Something about this one when it is burning, I don't love. I don't know what it is. I'm looking at the notes here. I don't know if I normally like tonka bean, amber. I don't know if it's the sandalwood note in here. Sandalwood is so hit or miss with me. I either love it or I don't always love it. I love it or I hate it. Not really hate it, but like I love the way typically that Homeworx does sandalwood fragrances. Other times they can come across, Kringle is very hit or miss with me with sandalwood. And so I'm wondering if it's the sandalwood note in here mixed with the amber. It is a perfumey, sunscreeny type of vibe. So, but also in fairness, I will say I was burning this in my daughter's bedroom, which again is a smaller bedroom, and it might have been too much candle for that space, which again, if it's too intense, maybe that's why. So I'm going to try this one again out here in the open concept, but I don't love this one as much as Sand and Santal or the Sunset Sands. But I am going to give this another try. Going to give it, obviously I'll give it to the point where I can do a post burn on it, but wasn't really in love with that one on the first burn. Okay, I think I've talked about all of the candles that are kind of in my rotation right now. Let's go ahead and talk about these new Homeworx fragrances that were sent to me. So like I said earlier in the video, these 3 candles were sent to me in PR by Slatkin & Co. I do always want to say thank you, and I am always very transparent when I have received a candle in PR. So the first one that they sent to me is actually a fragrance I have already had before. It was funny when they gave me the option. Slatkin & Co. is really nice. Sometimes they give us just the option of, hey, do you want this PR, or choose one or choose 2 or whatever from this launch. And so they had me choose from this one. I think there was like mint chip was also available. And I thought, well, I can't remember if I've had this fragrance or not before. Turns out I have. This is the fragrance Salted Caramel Gelato from Homeworx. Now this is in their 3-wick format. It looks like they're 4 wicks, but it is in the 3 wick format. We have fragrance notes here of salted caramel, honeyed nuts, buttered toffee, and dark brown sugar. And the reason I went with this, you were just saying, Katie, you're not always a fan of caramel scents. Why would you choose a caramel candle? Well, I do tend to like the way that Homeworx does caramel. Of all of the brands, I do think that Harry Slatkin does do caramel very, very well. Very rarely does it ever smell scorched to my nose. And this to me is definitely like a sea salt caramel. I get some of the like butteriness. You get some of that toffee note in here. This is done very, very well. Now, I did burn it one time the other day. I will just say this, I do not have the best luck with Homeworx 3 wick candles in my home. First and foremost, I did burn this in a hurricane the other day for about 3.5 hours, and you might be able to see that there's a little bit of wax along the rim there. So it kind of struggled to pull out. The strength and throw on this one also initially on the first burn was not good. Now I've only burned it once, but strength and throw, even in a little hurricane, was maybe about a 4 to 5. Was not very strong in the closed concept bedroom. But this is a fragrance that I actually think would pair really nicely with that sugar cone crunch. It's too bad that neither one of them can really get their act together and be strong. But I felt that was actually why I picked up sugar cone crunch, because I knew this one was coming and I thought, oh, that would probably be a great combo, and it would be. But I need one of them to amp up their game so that way they can complement each other. But Salted Caramel Gelato is the first fragrance that they sent me. And then they did send me 2 4-wick candles, which I believe that both of these are new fragrances. I know that in this collection, this is kind of like a, I don't know, are we going to call this like a patriotic collection? It's got, red, white, and blue all over it. But this is the fragrance Strawberry Shortcake. Now, I do see that they also have like Root Beer Float, which has been around for a while. There's a couple of other scents that I know have been around for a while that are in this patriotic collection, but I haven't seen Strawberry Shortcake or Cherry Pie before, so those were the 2 candles that I selected. If you're in the Homeworx group, I did post a photo the other day and kind of my first burn impression. So this is Strawberry Shortcake. We have fragrance notes of fresh cut strawberries, baked vanilla shortcake, fluffy whipped cream, and powdered sugar. Now, this fragrance, I'm going to tell you, there are some comparisons of this fragrance being made to Bath & Body Works Strawberry Pound Cake. Truthfully, you guys, I'm not a big fan of that fragrance. Again, because Bath & Body Works Strawberry often comes across very artificial to my nose, and I don't love it. This, I can get on board with this. The strawberry note that I'm picking up in here is, if you like the strawberry note in Farm Stand Strawberry, you're going to like this. I do also get some of that pound cake, or not pound cake, but like a more dense cake. It's not like a light, airy type of cake. It's a dense cake. And there is some type of like vanilla, like light vanilla whipped type of frosting in here. It's sweet, but not, again, not cloyingly artificial sweet. I actually really like this. Now, the funny thing is that when this candle was burning this morning, I did light it up for the first time this morning. I was burning it in my bedroom. My daughter, Paisley, the one you guys met in my last Homeworx haul video, she walked in and she said, it kind of reminds me of those little yogurt drops that I used to eat, like, and that Lane and Piper ate when they were toddlers. And I was like, oh yeah, those little, like, if you're a parent or a grandparent and you guys know what I'm talking about, they're almost like those little like freeze-dried yogurt drops. I think Gerber makes them, and we would pack them in our diaper bags because they were just easy to kind of like give as a little snack when your kid is first learning. They don't have a whole lot of teeth and you're worried about choking. They just kind of melt in their mouth. She's like, that's what this fragrance reminded her of. And I was like, really? And then like the more I smelled it, I was like, yeah, I could kind of see where that's coming from. She said there was almost kind of like a yogurty note to her nose. That's what she detects. I could see where she's coming from with that, but I actually really like this fragrance. Do I want backups of it? I don't think so, but also, like, if they offered me another one, I wouldn't pass it up. I wouldn't be like, no thanks. Like, I like this fragrance quite a bit. Strength and throw on the first burn was pretty good for me as well. I would say, again, it was burning in my master bedroom, so it's a little bit hard to judge, but it definitely filled up that room and started throwing out of there. So I would give this about a 7 so far on the first burn. The wicks did pretty well. This did pull out easier for me on the first burn. I would say it took probably about 2 hours to get to a complete wax pool on this one. But so far, I do like this fragrance. I will make sure to get dedicated post-burn reviews out for all of you guys. I know that these are available in a duo over on QVC, but they are now also available on the Slatkin & Co. website. So depending on where you like to shop, I know some people like QVC because you can get the duos, or you can ship it back if you don't like the fragrance or if you have performance issues. Other people do like shopping directly from the Slatkin & Co. website because sometimes they have good sales. Sometimes you can use your rewards. And then the other thing with the website is that you can only buy one if you only want to buy one fragrance instead of having to commit to two. So like I said, the other fragrance that I not purchased, but that they sent to me was Cherry Pie. Fragrance notes here are ripe summer cherries, sparkling sugar, whipped vanilla cream, and a graham cracker crust. Now, here's the thing with this candle. This to me, you guys know, I fully admit I am not a big cherry person in terms of cherry fragrances, which is funny. It's almost ironic because I have one cherry pie fragrance, but I also have Kringle is coming out with a cherry pie fragrance that they are kindly sending to me in PR. So it's good that they're sending these to me in PR because truthfully, you guys, I probably wouldn't have been so inclined to purchase cherry pie fragrances for myself. I don't typically like cherry. Here's the thing that I will say about this cherry fragrance. I like this. It's very cherry pie filling forward. That's what I smell here. But the cherry note, it's kind of sugared. It's almost like that, what I would say is, I don't want to say like gelatinous, but it definitely has like sugariness applied to the cherries in here. But not cloyingly sweet. It's still authentic to like the fruit of a cherry in this fragrance. Very nice. Do I detect some crust? Yes. I get a tiny bit of crust, but I would say that the crust note is in the background. It's still very much cherry pie filling forward. I get maybe a tiny hint of whipped cream in here. If anything, it's the whipped cream note that I would get in that whipped raspberry vanilla type of fragrance. It's very light, kind of like a light, airy vanilla note in here. But to me, it's very cherry pie filling forward. That's the prime note that my nose detects. Now, I did burn this morning out here in the open concept because I will tell you on cold sniff, this one was a little bit stronger than the strawberry shortcake. So I thought, well, let's try this one out here first. Here's the thing. I'm still not a big lover of cherry fragrances. I would say that this is going to be a one and done fragrance for me. However, I didn't hate it. Like I didn't burn it once and then be like, ugh, I can't ever burn that again. I do like it. I could see myself continuing to burn this fragrance. It might grow on me even a little bit more. Still cherry forward type of scent. Strength and throw on it was also about a 7, I would say. It was definitely detectable out here. It wasn't smacking me in the face, but I definitely noticed it when I walked into the room. Every once in a while, I would catch wafts of it out in the kitchen, but it definitely filled up the living room here. Now, here's the thing with this one. What I will say is that this one did take quite a while to completely pool out, and you will see that there's even just a tiny little bit of wax residue along the rim. And I had this candle burning for 4.5 hours this morning. So this one did take a little bit longer to pool out. These two candles so far do not look to have the same aggressive wicks that we saw in the whipped raspberry vanilla, the iced cherry fizz. What was the other one that I had that burned really quickly? I feel like Cinnabunnies burned really quickly for me. So again, I don't know if they made some wick adjustments on this line, but these wicks, they're burning okay. I will just say that we're kind of back to like, make sure you have a decent amount of time to let these candles pool out. When you light them for the first time, you don't want to have to light them for 2 hours and then have to go somewhere and put them out because wax does have a memory on it. So yeah, or also just be aware that maybe you might need to pop it into a hurricane on the first burn to maybe get a more even wax pool. But I will make sure to give you guys some post-burn reviews on that. Probably, like I said, within the next 2 weeks, I can see those being ready for those dedicated reviews. So I feel like that was a lot to talk about today, but that is what is currently in my burn rotation here in early May. I will hopefully have another Kringle haul to share with you guys at some point throughout the next week. Next weekend, I will also share with you guys my empties video. I will have some more dedicated post-burn candle reviews coming up for you guys this week. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Feel free to comment down below if you have any experience with the candles that I talked about today, or just let me know what is currently in your burn rotation that you are loving in this early part of May. We are officially now coming into much warmer weather. It was actually a beautiful break at the beginning of this week. We had temperatures like in the very, I would say like upper 60s, low 70s. We had like 3 days of rain, and it wasn't even like dumping, pouring down rain. It was just like that nice, beautiful, steady rain with cloud cover. I will take it because this weekend we are supposed to be near 100 degrees. So it's like, oh, here's a little bit of spring, and now we're full on into summer. We are definitely coming into those warmer weather months, and let me know where you guys are at, what your weather has been like. Are you guys ready for all of the summer fun? Like I said, my kids are getting out of school next week. My teenager has school for 2 more weeks, but then we will be busy with all of our summer activities, all of the summer camps. Oh man, we've hit that phase of our life. How come nobody told me how expensive those were going to be? I always thought like once we were done paying for formula and diapers, like they're supposed to get less expensive, right? No, no, no. I was thinking, gosh, I need to sell some feet pictures or something to pay for all of this. But yeah, my kids, we've got them signed up for a couple of performing arts camps. My teenager is going to go to youth group camp with a church. So excited for all of those things coming up in the future. So anyways, you guys, I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. YouTube should be suggesting another video, somewhere here at the end of the video if you have more time. But again, if you don't, I do want to say just thanks again for spending the time that you did have. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.